Thank you very much for taking your seats. I'd like to begin the Learn and Grow program today. We have a great speaker, and I want to welcome all of our online viewers who are tuning in right now for the first time. So welcome to the April program, and I know you will be interested in both the Learn and Grow as well as the seminar speaker today. I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Murphy, who is an active Emeritus faculty from the Department of Pathology at the medical school. She's a member of the U of M Retiree Association and has worked in pathology, both teaching, research, as well as working with both medical students as well as researchers at the university. And I learned before that she was a medical illustrator. So we all have different career tracks, and like all of us, she's a very active retiree. When you pull her name up on Google, you see a really long description of what she's doing with the American Red Cross. And today she's here to talk about the Red Cross as a national organization, but also as a local organization. And I think many of us don't really appreciate or even know all of the things that they do locally for the community. She'll also highlight opportunities for volunteers, and I know we do a lot of that type of thing, and she will include that at the end of her talk as well. So thank you, Dr. Murphy.
I'm a little shorter. Thank you all for being here, and I want to thank you, Catherine, for inviting me to speak. It's really a privilege. No? Stand closer? How's that? Okay, it's really a privilege to be here and talk to all of you. You've all had eminent careers, and it's just a pleasure to be here. My goal in speaking to you today, and I changed the title of the talk, is that I really want to tell you what the Red Cross does, but I also want to tell you what you can do to help the Red Cross. I think I've got to do this now. Can't hear me. Am I not close enough? Maybe close.
Pretty close.
Really close. Okay, thank you. Eat the mic. Pardon me? That would be great. No, you can't. I can't walk around. So, what does the American Red Cross do? Well, you know, the main thing is we're a humanitarian organization. We respond to emergencies. So we have a mandate from Congress to respond to emergencies. We don't provide long-term care for anyone. Generally speaking, we respond, and it's like a 3-day event. We are, primarily run by volunteers. 90% of the people that you see out in the Red Cross are volunteers. Only 10% are paid staff. We're supported by donors. We have an unfunded mandate from Congress. Congress likes those, to respond to emergencies. So we have a few government grants. So we have a Department of Defense grant to provide some programs for our military people. But beyond that, we really rely on donors. Let's see if I can get this going. I don't think that started, Roger. There we go. So that was just a little overview of what we're going to talk about. I also want to talk to you about Clara Barton, who is just an incredibly impressive woman. She was a nurse and a teacher, and she worked in the Civil War giving aid to the soldiers. And when she retired at age 59, she started the American Red Cross, just a little thing. And she worked until she was 82, and she was president of the American Red Cross till then. So someone to kind of use as our role model. We are a local organization. We're also regional, we're national, and we're international. And so these are some of the titles that you will see. When we talk about the American Red Cross, we're talking about our national society. So we have facilities in other countries where we may help out with like a measles or rubella vaccination program, but we are mainly in the United States. When we talk about the International Committee of the Red Cross, that's all the national associations. So every country has a Red Cross, and we all come together under the International Committee of the Red Cross, or the ICRC. The International Red Cross and Red Crescent, then, is all of those societies, those national Red Cross societies, but also the Red Crescent societies, which are in the Muslim countries. So that really kind of covers all of the Red Cross societies across the world. And these are terms that you'll see in the news, and you might say, well, was that really the Red Cross? Yes, it's all part of the Red Cross. So globally, all of the Red Crosses follow these fundamental principles. And these are really important because not only is our goal, to prevent and alleviate human suffering, but we are impartial. So there is no discrimination to race, religion. We don't get involved in religious conflicts. We serve everybody equally. We're neutral. We don't take sides in hostilities. We are called in to help people, and it doesn't matter who they are. And we're independent, so we're not dependent on any of those countries that we come in to aid, and we're not dependent on any local government, even including our own. So while we kind of answer to Congress in that we respond to emergencies, we don't do what Congress tells us to do. We do what the Red Cross tells us to do. It's voluntary. It's primarily a voluntary service. And there's only one Red Cross, so that we are all on the same page. There's no difference from one country to the next. We are universal. So in the United States, this is how we're kind of organized. There are 6 divisions across the country. We are in the North Central Division. Within the North Central Division, then, there are 6 regions, and we are the Michigan region. It roughly corresponds to the state boundaries. However, far western Upper Peninsula is really answers to Wisconsin because Green Bay is closer than another major city. So to deliver the aid that's needed in that area, they become part of the Wisconsin region. In the Michigan region, then, there are 6 chapters. We just keep dividing up. We are Southeast Michigan chapter. And in Southeast Michigan chapter, we cover 5 counties. We cover Washtenaw, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and St. Clair. Again, we're humanitarian service. We are divided up into these service areas, not because we're actually strictly divided, but just so that we all have, each area has its own goals and service. There's disaster relief, training and certification. We serve veterans and the military families as well as military personnel, international services, and of course we collect blood. And we'll go through some of these. Actually, we'll go through most of them. So disaster service is really our immediate response to an emergency. And This is really what a shelter looks like. This is a gym. We have cots set up for people who need a place to sleep. There are families there. There are children, there are babies, there are everyone from all ages. They need to be fed, sheltered, and cared for. Roger, thank you.
I'm a member of the disaster action team. We respond to fires, floods, storms, and so forth.
Any kind of natural disaster at homes or apartment complexes, we provide aid to the residents who are the clients.
Notice the ages of these volunteers.
To find out what the client's needs are and to see what you can do, and then to see what other members of the team can do.
The duty officer is the first point of contact.
This is Daniel with the Red Cross.
We gather the information from the client, and we then send it to the responders, and the responders then go to help out the client in the start of their recovery.
We receive a call 24/7 and quickly go to the scene of the incident and help the client find them safe lodging for the night, as well as provide them with some resources and get them going towards their own recovery.
You need to have compassion, because we are the first people to talk to these clients from the Red Cross. And a lot of times we set the tone for how their whole experience is going to be.
A debt responder needs to have empathy. They need to be able to emotionally connect to a client.
I wanted to do something that had meaning and had purpose. Every time I go home after a fire, I know I've made a difference in someone's life.
The rewarding part is just to see that you're actually helping somebody and they appreciate it. That means a lot to me. That's my reward.
It gives me a sense of satisfaction knowing that I'm able to help people in their worst time of need and be able to help them get started on their road to recovery.
There are tears, there are hugs. They are just very grateful. And that gives me the satisfaction that I've been able to help them in their time of need.
We see a lot of things. A lot of it's happy, a lot of it's sad, but sometimes things really touch our hearts.
When we tell people that we're volunteers, they're people that come to us then and say, how can I do this?
I would tell somebody that if they're a compassionate person, if they want to help others, if they want to, in a very quick time frame, within 2 to 3 hours, really make a difference in a person's life at their time of greatest need, it's an opportunity to do just that.
So I don't know if you've noticed in that video, those were all retired people who were volunteering. Just saying. So what really amazes me is the number of disasters we respond to. So there are, 7 disasters in Michigan every day. Every day. We provide a lot of financial assistance. These are whole households that have been put out of their homes. So we really provide a lot of assistance to people in a very immediate way. What do we give them? Well, we give them, first of all, a shelter, somewhere safe to spend the night. We provide 3 meals a day. We'll refill prescriptions. If you think of someone in a fire, they run out of the house with nothing. We will provide some financial assistance to get them through the day. All the credit cards are back in their burnt-out house. They have no contacts. The most important thing we give them is care and comfort. And we will also give them mental health counseling, social counseling, and so much more. So last month, there was a hotel fire in Dearborn, and 43 people were displaced. Now, we may think of a hotel as everybody was there on vacation. No, these were people living in the hotel. So they were families living in one room or two rooms. They had everything they owned in that hotel room. I spoke to a man who had gotten his paycheck. He paid the hotel for 2 weeks, and he bought all his food for 2 weeks, and he lost it all in the fire. And now he has no paycheck. He won't get a paycheck for 2 more weeks. What is he going to do? The hotel will eventually reimburse him, but I don't know if you've tried to get credit from anybody. It takes a while. This was a place that he could come, that he could talk to someone, he could figure out how to go forward. We provided cots. There were a lot of cots. There were kids everywhere. There were babies that were taken out of the hotel in just diapers. And this was, a month ago. It was cold. We gave them 3 meals a day. They went out and they went to, Target and Walmart and bought them clothing, provided them with some money, brought in counselors and social workers and mental health counselors, and sat with each person to see what kind of a living situation we could figure out for them. Could they move in with someone temporarily? What could happen? Because the shelter was only going to be open for 3 days. But by the time the 3 days were up, everyone had a place to go. Every night we respond to home fires. It is incredible, the number of home fires. I spoke with the Detroit fire chief, and I get a disaster report every week. And I said, wow, there were 7 fires this week, and last week, and it's average 7 fires a week. He said, no. He said, there are 10 times that many. These are only the fires that the Red Cross responds to. So there are, 70 fires in the Detroit area over a course of a week. So in 2014, volunteers made 975,000 houses safer. I'm really proud to say that the Red Cross became very proactive in saying, we can prevent fires. We can go in and put in fire alarms. So we go in as a team, talk to the family, make an escape plan for them, so that everybody goes out and meets somewhere. Go through the house and, provide safety tips and install smoke alarms. And then for the hearing impaired, we have bed shakers and strobe lights, things like that. So these teams will go through a neighborhood and put in fire alarms in every home. So what can you do to help with a disaster? Well, the University of Michigan Retirees Association is going to volunteer with the Red Cross of Southeast Michigan to canvass a neighborhood to determine if they need smoke alarms. Al Hermson is organizing this. There you are. Contact him if you're interested. He's working with Carnell Richardson of the disaster team of Southeast Michigan. So they're going to go through and find out who needs smoke alarms. You could also join a smoke alarm team. Now, you could say, well, I'm not going to get up there on a ladder and install smoke alarms. But the team needs somebody, first of all, to set it up, to contact the family, to collect data, to talk to the family, make an escape plan, and all of this, and then install. If you'd like to install, that's wonderful. I personally would not do that, but there are other jobs, and they're very, very important. The Red Cross trains you for everything. You don't have to know how to do anything in advance. You can also volunteer to help during a disaster. So when we set up the shelter, we needed people to set up the cots, we needed people to interview the people coming in, keep all the records, help with providing the meals. There was a Red Cross volunteer sitting at a table this size with a bunch of kids coloring, just distracting them so their parents had a moment of peace. There are a lot of things you can do. And again, the Red Cross will train you for every single role. They're not going to send someone out there not knowing what to do. So speaking of training, Red Cross provides a lot of training services. They're going to train you if you're interested in volunteering for disaster services, blood services, services to the armed forces. And I'll talk about some of the things you can do, but I don't want you to think that, oh, I can't do that, I don't know anything about it. You will. You will find out. Near and dear to my heart is CPR and first aid, because we are in the business of saving lives. That could be you. A cardiac arrest can happen anywhere. It can happen when you least expect it. It can happen to the person sitting next to you right now. What will you do until help arrives? I have a friend who is my age, who was raised in Paris, and because her father was with the State Department. So she decided last year to take her adult daughter and her 16-year-old granddaughter to Paris. So they're in New York boarding the jet at Kennedy, and they're on the jetway, the enclosed jetway that you walk down to an airplane or walk up to an airplane. And she suffers a cardiac arrest. Her daughter had taken a CPR course at work 2 years previously. She gave her CPR for 30 minutes. It took EMS that long to get through Kennedy Airport to get to them. So until help arrives, you, next to this person, are the only one there. You are the only one there. So her mother's fine. I mean, she has a pacemaker and she's had cardiac care, but she's back to traveling. So take a CPR class. So this is a study that came out in January, and by law, every fitness center must have an automatic external defibrillator. So they did a study, and of the people who had a cardiac arrest at an exercise facility, 49%, so half of them, had a rhythm. They could have been shocked. They could have been saved by a bystander. Only 20% of the bystanders used the AED. People are afraid of them. They don't know how to use them. Where is it? I don't know what to do. Every health fitness center will grab it immediately and bring it to you. But, learn how to use it. This will help someone survive. Everyone should be CPR trained. And the classes can be a CPR, AED first aid class. There's a whole array of classes depending on your previous experience. So what can you do? Take a class. You can encourage your friends and family to take a class. It could be you. So you want the person next to you to be trained. You can arrange for a group class. You can have your church or your school or organization have a group class. Maybe the Retirees Association could have a group class, and have everyone get trained. So the other thing that we do is we give service to the armed forces. This is very important. We really provide a very key role for the armed forces. This is a video, Roger.
When the troops get off the bus, it's great to see a civilian as opposed to military, because that's all we're going to see. why we're here as civilians. And then, you know, we do a little meet and greet kind of thing. You know, hey, you know, welcome back. You know, glad to see you. We came all the way in here to see you.
But once they get here, what I do is kind of like stand in the middle, whichever bus opens first, and then I just say, welcome home. What we do is once the patients come here, our soldiers, they come in, some will be in crutches, some will walk in, some will have slings in their arms, you know, and others will be carried in a wheelchair depending on, you know, the medical situation. I just know that I try to make them comfortable. You know, when they come back, the staff shows them the Merlin room. We contributed that to Andrews, and this is where they come and they sit down and eat and watch TV.
Red Cross was always there. And you know, it's hard to find volunteers, but everybody always says there's nothing greater than the heart of a volunteer.
So we basically go wherever our service members go. So there's a group of people from the Red Cross who will be deployed to areas of active duty in combat zones. They're usually right outside the combat zone. This is where the military would come and have their R&R. And the Red Cross is there to help them reconnect with their families, to provide some, you know, lightness and entertainment for them, and to generally take care of them. We also, you know, our services to the military are all free. So everything we do is free of charge to them. So before people are deployed, we provide briefings to their families and to them on what the Red Cross can do for them while they are deployed. We hold workshops for coping and for deployment. It's hard for families when their loved one gets deployed. We also assist with career services for their spouses. While they're gone, we are their prime contact for emergencies back home. So we have people answering the phones. There are people on call, volunteers on call all of the time, 24 hours a day, for family members and for service members. Works both ways. Many times families have financial difficulties while their loved one's away. So we help them deal with that. They can have a family crisis and we need to intervene. And we, again, support the armed services out in the conflict area. When they return, you know, as you saw in the VA hospital there, we, you know, provide care and volunteer services in the medical and rehab centers. One of the primary things we do is hold reconnection and resiliency workshops for the vets and their families. Because when you've been in the service, no matter how long or short, it is a difficult time to return to civilian life and your family. So we have these workshops that are run by licensed mental health counselors for the vets, for their families, and their children. So what can you do? There are activities that you can join in. My father and my husband are both military veterans, and every year we go to the Wreaths Across America. This is a national day in December where you can come and meet at the cemetery. All lines of service are represented. There's a beautiful ceremony. And then everyone goes and lays a wreath on a veteran's grave. And this is happening all across the country, so they're not forgotten. We provide, as I said, these resiliency workshops for veterans, families, and active duty members. we are in desperate need of mental health professionals because this has to be run by a licensed mental health professional. So if any of you are retired licensed mental health professionals, please step up. We need this. We need it locally. Emergency communications, just to be by the phone, just to say I'll be on call for 24 hours. I will, if I get a call, you will be trained where to send that call, who to direct them to. Is it a financial crisis, a medical crisis, an emotional crisis? The veterans' homes in the VA hospital, we support their volunteer services. So we are out there also with the veterans. Probably the service everyone knows best is the biomedical service, because this is our blood collection service. We are involved in collecting the blood, testing the blood, storing the blood, and distributing the blood and blood products.
The American Red Cross blood supply is at historically low levels this year, and we're facing a dangerous situation across the country. Without the blood they need, hospitals may be forced to make tough decisions about patient care. Donors are needed now to ensure blood is available for everyone who needs it when they need it. The good news is, you can help. Make an appointment to give now. Visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. Patients are counting on you.
So we distribute blood. We supply about 40% of the nation's blood supply. Certainly more than any other blood bank, but we work together with them. We test the blood. There are at least 10 tests on every unit. And we hold blood drives across the country every single day. Right now, there is a big initiative for sickle cell because the sickle cell patients need constant transfusions. But there are numerous other medical conditions that need blood on a regular basis, not to mention having the blood stored on a shelf in near the emergency room is really critical to those people surviving. Blood is needed immediately. Right now, we are in a blood shortage situation, and we've been this way for now a couple of years. Really, COVID kind of did us in terms of blood donors. So we are at a critical level right now. We need blood donors. If you can't donate blood, perhaps a family member or a friend can do it. What we have set up for the University of Michigan Retirees Association is a blood link. So this is a website you can go to register to donate blood. And University of Michigan will get credit for it, and the University of Michigan Retirees Association will get credit for it. So this is a way to say this large group of people are giving blood and to encourage others to do it. So you can sign up, you can have your family members sign up, you can have your friends sign up, anybody you know can sign up. It will come up with a list of places, a list of blood drives that are currently running, and you can put in the date you want to go. It can also we have fixed blood sites. So our facility on Packard Road, you can go almost any day and give blood. So this is the link for the blood link. And I have up here to hand out to you on a piece of paper all of the links that I'm going to give you. It has a link for blood donation, a link for volunteering, and a link for cash donation. So what can you do? You can donate blood. Use the blood link. Give your organization credit. You can encourage your families and friends to donate blood. You can encourage and help your church or organization to sponsor a blood drive. If you belong to another group, see if they will sponsor a blood drive. The Red Cross will help you do all the work of setting that up. You just need to come forward and say, we want to do it. You can also volunteer to help at donation sites. So I do go to donation sites periodically, and they need people to sign people in, to register them, to take a history, depending on how you get trained by the Red Cross. After people give blood, they have to sit there for a while. You have to give them something to drink and something to eat, and just keep an eye on them so they don't pass out. So we need volunteers to do all of those things. So a reminder, we are 90% volunteer. We cannot function without volunteers. 90% of every dollar goes into the work of the Red Cross. So our overhead is, and this is to pay for that 10% staff and for the facilities, it's only 10 cents out of every dollar we get. We are now ranked at the highest level for governance, finance, and for operations by a number of these organizations that do oversight of charities. So we are in very good shape. But mostly, we are volunteers. Volunteers are what make the Red Cross. And, my goal in speaking to you today was, to make you aware of what the Red Cross does, but really to make you aware of what you can do to help the Red Cross, because we cannot function without volunteers. We just can't do anything. This is a quote from Margaret Mead, who's an anthropologist, and she was asked where she thought civilization started. And she said, helping someone else through difficulty is where civilization starts. She said, we are at our best when we serve others. So I'll take any questions. Yes?
Well, on these blood drives, you said, if you don't know what your blood type is, do they tell you what it is?
They will test you right there and find out what,
they can tell
they'll
you right
tell
then
you
and
right
there?
there what your blood type is.
Okay, I'll think about it.
You can do it, Roger.
So is the Red Crescent doing anything over in the Gaza area?
Yes, and they work with the International Society of the Red Cross, and they are trying to get in. They had a number of trucks lined up outside of Gaza that could not get in. Back there.
Hi, thanks for coming today. I have two unrelated questions. One is, you said that groups that sponsor drives get credit. What does that mean?
Just acknowledgement. Okay. The credit in your heart.
The other is, I have donated both whole blood and platelets, and so I get a lot of requests for both. Which is more crucial for me to donate?
When you get a request, that is what you should ask, because at any given time, that could change. Depending on if there was a mass disaster, or or what they've been able to get from other blood drives. Yeah, the best thing is just to ask them, which would you prefer?
Where does the financing for the Red Cross come from? Like the pay for the CEO and operations?
It all comes. We get nothing from the government. Nothing. So as I said, we are able to write like a small grant to do some help with the military, but beyond that, it's all donations.
So the CEO is paid over $600,000 a year. That's all donation, is that correct?
I don't actually know what she gets paid, but it would come out, and that would be the 10%. 10% of what we collect goes to pay staff. And at least the staff that I know took huge cuts in pay to get to work for the Red Cross. So.
I was just wondering who cannot give blood?
You know, it
They're
depends.
ill, they're diabetic, they have cancer.
You actually have to go and have a history taken because it varies. You know, if you had cancer, it might have been so far in the past that it doesn't matter anymore. You might be on chemotherapy or you might not be. You'd really have to have when you walk in, they take a confidential medical history. You go in a separate area, you're kind of closed off with someone,
Okay, thank you.
and they will take a medical history.
I was wondering, the thrift shops, the Red Cross, thrift shop that we have on State Street, what percentage of the money do they raise in your income?
I didn't know we had a thrift shop.
Isn't that on State Street? Isn't that
I think there's a Salvation Army and there's the Ann Arbor thrift shop.
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
think they're
thinking.
Red Cross.
So you don't have any facility where people can donate things?
No.
Okay. Sorry, my mistake.
Okay. Although I'm sure they're all very good. I'm not.
Thanks again for coming here. It's fascinating information you're giving us. In the beginning, it listed, I think, 5 counties in Michigan.
Yes.
And then how, like I live in Jackson County, for instance, are some counties grouping other neighboring counties for help?
Yes. So
Okay.
each region within within Michigan has like 5 or 6 counties. So you're probably in the central division.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a map somewhere here I can show you if you want. Thank you all for your attention. Oh, you have one more? Okay.
Just quickly, when you have these big disasters, how is the Red Cross different from all the other aid agencies that are there?
So we come in first. What happens is when there's a fire, anything, the first responders go in and assess it, and then they pick up the phone and call the Red Cross. And then we come in for those first few days and assess what needs to be done, set up the shelters, do all of that, and then the other aid agencies come in and help. A lot of times if it's a huge disaster, a mass casualty, we will work together with other agencies as well. So we will call them and say, do you want to participate in this?
Do you have any fundraisers? And do you sell blood, or do you just donate the blood to the hospitals that need it? Do you have what other way of getting funding in besides asking for donations?
We do charge, for example, training services. If we come into a hospital and train their staff, we will charge them for that. If we have different financial arrangements with each hospital. So sometimes there is reimbursement to cover, and usually just to cover costs. The cost, because it has to be transported, it has to be stored, it has to be tested, and all of that. So we do get a little bit back from that. We don't right now have a fundraiser in Southeast Michigan, and that's what I'm working on for next year. I'd like to set up a fundraiser that'll be an annual event. So we have a committee that's working on that right now.
So I have one last question.
Yeah.
So hospitals are completely dependent on the Red Cross, or do hospitals actually have their own?
No,
systems as well?
hospitals do not collect blood, but we provide about 40% of the blood. There are other blood banks that collect blood and distribute blood. Very often it's regional, so the Red Cross might do this region and someone else will do another small region of Michigan. So yes, there are others, but again, it's not done at the hospital. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Catherine. Oh, and I have this with the information up here, and I also have my card. Feel free to contact me. My email's on there. It's one of those umich.edu emails, or call me. I'm happy to talk to anyone.
So we can put that on our website.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you very much. There's a little bit of time for break while we set up for the next speaker. Thank you.